The funniest jokes are the ones that are the
We made
ones
along the way.
the ones that we made along the way when we weren't recording that were
We were singing "Come as You Are" by Nirvana badly.
and then I threw in a bit of Black Hole Sun.
Black Hole Sun.
But I replaced the words Black Hole Sun with Continuum. Yeah.
May have even inserted the word "bum" in there for
Yeah.
comedic effect. I'll let,
Coming
we'll
in
let,
bumps.
which is just funny.
Yeah, it's just funny. You know what the best kind of jokes are? The ones the best delivery of a joke is when you're explaining it after the fact.
Especially when you don't tell the joke first. It's like it's Jeopardy of joke. You deliver the punchline and an explanation, and then the listeners have to buzz in and tell the joke in the
I have
form
a
of a question.
I have a joke for you.
Uh-oh.
What kind of doctor is always available?
Is always available.
Yeah.
Dr. Octopus.
An oncologist.
Lazor Comb.
We are not going to panic.
What the heck even happened to you, man?
Vengeance.
Shrimp Daddy! Ha 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 ha!
Give him a hockey stick!
What am I, fucking magician, man?
Am I some kind of fucking magician, man?
Fucking nerd.
Whatever. It's not like we're professionals anyway.
And I'm not sorry anymore.
Time to big brain.
Every day, yes.
What is the airwolf of trains?
Good evening, Chronoplasters. Welcome to episode 122 of the Lazor Comb podcast, the show where we comb through random episodes of classic TV with a fine-tooth laser traveling through the streams of time. I am one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
And I'm your other host from a different space-time continuum, NeoCal.
And this week we are... Well, last week we talked about as a request from our patron Josh, we talked about a showcase original series from the early 2010s. And I thought, why don't we follow that up with another showcase original series from the early 2010s? And so... this is one I actually used to watch. I didn't finish it. I kind of fell off of it. But this is one that I used to watch back in the day, and it's called Continuum.
2077. My time, my city, my family. When terrorists killed thousands of innocents, they were condemned to die. They had other plans. A time travel device sent us all back 65 years. I want to get home, but I can't be sure what I will return to if history is changed. Their plan? To corrupt and control the present in order to win the future. What they didn't plan on was me.
Are you sure it's not pronounced like vacuum? Continuum?
I'm 100 I'm 100% sure it's pronounced Continuum.
I agree. I'm just pointing out how dumb English is.
Continuum, won't you come? Won't you come? Continuum, dear, dear, dear. Traveling through space and time, dear, dear, dear.
So the gist of it, correct me if I'm wrong, is she's from the protagonist is from Cyberpunk 2077.
Yep, she is from a cyberpunk future set in the year 2077.
Interestingly enough. And there's some time shenanigans with terrorists in the future, or rather her present. And thousands of people are killed. And before they're trialed or they're going to be executed, this is all in the intro. And I like that. Because if you randomly happen to catch it on TV and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? Then the intro hits and you're like, oh, it's kind of nice, actually.
Yeah.
especially given the format of our podcast. It's nice for it to be like, here's the deal. I'm from the future this year. I went back to this year. This is why I'm here. And the terrorists were also thrown back in time.
My name's Kira. You're probably wondering how I got here.
You're probably wondering how I got in this situation. Record scratch. Yep, that's me. Now, there's only one thing that the time traveling terrorists didn't bank on. Me.
Yeah, she actually says that.
That's a little cheesy, but
it's cheesy. Yeah.
yeah, but I'm for it. Yeah, that's not me making that up. She says that in the intro as she's shooting a gun, like in a montage of the intro. But it's like, okay, it tells me what I need to know. Mm-hmm. Thank you. So it gets bonus points for that. It also tells me that I'm dumb. I didn't realize that the beginning scenes were meant to be in the past.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though she's using future tech to put on like makeup.
Well, it's relative because it's timey-wimey bullshit. The scenes at the beginning with her like at the restaurant with her friends and like her friend's husband tries to sexually assault her basically.
Yeah.
That's in her past, which is in the future.
Yeah. And I figured that out later when it showed her talking to her girlfriend in the bathroom. I was like, oh, okay. Got it. So it filled in the blanks there. So it's not that time. Like it doesn't jump back and forth often. Well, and I'm like, oh, okay, she's talking about her husband from that time. Okay.
Well, and indeed that subplot actually like in a way kind of ties into the plot that's going on in the present, which is 2012, which we'll get into later. But
it is the year 2012. It is the future.
Continuum was a Canadian TV series that aired on Showcase, much like the show we reviewed last week, Lost Girl, from 2012 to 2015. It was sadly canceled after 4 seasons. Well, it was canceled after the 3rd season, but they renewed it for a shortened 6-episode 4th season to kind of tie up loose ends, which is, good for the fans. I always appreciate it when networks do that.
I'm most impressed that the arcade game Time Crisis was turned into a live action series.
And, no time cops are mentioned, but she literally is a time cop.
Yeah. So if you're wondering what the fuck we're talking about.
Eat shit, Van Damme. The series stars Rachel Nichols, who was in a few things in the late 2000s to early 2010s, but I think she's mostly retired from acting now. The first thing I ever saw her in was she was briefly in the 2009 J.J. Abrams Star Trek reboot. She was the green chick that was Uhura's roommate that Kirk hooked up with and was like hiding under the bed in a kind of cute little scene. She also was in G.I. Joe that same year. Was in G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra. She played Scarlet.
Is Scarlet like their Black Widow?
Yeah, kind of. Pretty much.
That's how I remember the G.I. Joes.
She's a badass, attractive redhead.
I knew it.
Yo, Joe. So the episode we landed on after putting Continuum through the old random number generator was the first season episode. Where's the list of episodes? What the fuck was this name? All the episodes have time.
Time Crisis.
In the first season.
It's called The Politics of Time.
The Politics of Time.
Yeah, it premiered July 15th in 2012. So like, I didn't realize that was this much. Like, I didn't realize this is quite an old show.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I thought this was like maybe like the last like 8-ish years. But yeah, it's 2012. And yeah, they all have time. TV show, if I've learned anything from doing this podcast with Siege, it's that all of the titles have to have like a gimmick that shows like gimmick. Like Lost Girl was like a play on the word fae.
Yeah.
And other stuff like that. There's time in like every.
A stitch in time, fast times, wasting time, a matter of time, a test of time. Time's up. The politics of time.
The politics of time.
Playtime, family time, end time.
And then it mixes it up because they're like, holy shit, we can't keep doing this. In season 2, everything has second.
In season 3, everything has minute in the title. Season 4, everything has hour in the title. It's fun. I think that's fun.
Yeah, second, minute, hour. And then if there had been a season 5, it would have had
probably day.
Nanocycle. Or no, cycle, yeah.
Cycle. Nanoclicks.
Nanoclicks, there we go.
Gigabummer.
Oh, Gigabummer. There should be a virus named Gigabummer.
Yeah.
And then when you get it, you're like, oh man, I got the Gigabummer.
Man, I got a case of the Gigabummers.
Right?
Put that on a mug.
It's fatal. Oh man, this Gigabummer rash is coming back up.
Speaking of Gigabummers, this episode of Continuum. This episode of Continuum opens with our hero, her name's Kira, in a restaurant with her husband and her best friend and her best friend's husband, who I think is also her husband's best friend. And she gets up to go to the washroom, and her best friend's husband comes in and starts talking to her, and she's like, "Excuse me, sir, the ladies' room. This is the ladies' room. The men's room is that way." He's like, "Oh, I think I'm exactly where I want to be." And he like comes up behind her and grabs her tits.
There's unabashed boob mashing right in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And then she uses her kung fu and slams him against the thing, and she's like, "Oh, I can't believe you have a friend. You call my husband like your best friend."
Mm-hmm. And
we come back to this scene later. It revisits this.
Yeah, throughout the episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we jump from there. It's not immediately clear when you're first watching it, and indeed we talked about this a couple minutes ago.
But most people probably aren't watching the series from episode 7.
Yeah.
And so it does give the viewer a hint, because she's like reapplying like a makeup, and it's just this like mist.
Yeah, from this
like hovers over her eyes,
kind of future tech looking little gadget that she has. But yeah, this is the future. This is 2077.
I always wonder. It's like 2001, A Space Odyssey. You guys need to be jumping way farther in the future. The infrastructure it shows in 2077 makes it seem like there are leaps and bounds to be made. Motherfucker, it's 2025, and other than people walking around with cell phones, you could not tell if you just walked down the street, you could not tell the difference between 2005.
Yeah, totally.
Like, you guys need to jump farther, like go 100 years.
That's the thing. I've actually had conversations with people about this before. Not in front of
probably
Mike,
us throughout the year. Yeah,
probably. And I've definitely had this conversation with Krista, who's been on this show before.
Yeah.
The only things that really change with time, for the most part, are cars, fashion, hairstyles. Infrastructure doesn't really change a lot. Like, that's why you can take a movie camera and like take it like into like downtown New York and say
it's 1995.
Exactly. And for the most part, other than like, you know, maybe taking some CG and like getting rid of like digital LEDs and things like that, for the most part, it's like, yeah, this looks the same. This New York looks the same as the New York in Ghostbusters in 1984.
I need to know what future she's got, like an airbrushed like makeup thing, which either leads me to believe that there are leaps and bounds in technology in the future, or she is like unbelievably wealthy, because like wealthy people, it's just like, oh, $170 for this like airbrush like makeup like thing, and I can only use it for like, I can only use it 5 times before it runs out of pressure or like makeup. Sure. So I'm like, is she fabulously wealthy, or um are they overestimating how much can happen in like 50 years?
Please, in 2077, $170 will get you lunch at Future Subway.
Oh, I'm sorry. A $5 foot long is $175, right? And only, and 200 with a drink.
Yeah. God, Subway has gotten so expensive in recent years.
Homies, like, you got to know your place. It's like McDonald's. It's like, guys, what are you doing? It's just a sandwich with like cheap like cuts and like veggies. You can't be charging like $15 for these. Come on.
Yeah,
and yet still around.
$5 foot long was only like 15 years ago. And nowadays, like, if you get like a foot long and like a drink and like a thing of chips, it's going to cost you over $20.
Oh, is it over?
Yeah.
Good point. Because of the last few years with inflation, it's over. Before the pandemic and inflation, it was like $18, and I'm like, and then I stopped going. So I couldn't even imagine. Can you tell I'm basically like been living inside where have you been for the last 8 years? Oh, kind of living under a rock. I didn't realize oh, speaking of shell shock, before we get back, because a lot of this is like present like in the show, it's or maybe it's utopian future and like everybody lives really well. I got that vibe from the intro, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it could be.
Could be. Hard to say.
I don't remember, honestly.
But speaking of coming out of from underneath my rock, in our personal use, usually we shoot the shit just a little bit, but in our personal use, I've been priced out. Lo and behold, it has been a few years since I've booked a hotel, and it's criminal. I can't even travel in my own province. I was, what's it called when you're like, your ignorance like shocks you, gobsmacked. I was
flabbergasted,
taken aback by how fucking expensive
bamboozled
summer hotels, bamboozled, if you will. I don't know, I was expecting like 200, like maybe 300 like dollars, but like
$500,
not including food, not including parking, not including the ferry, because we live on an island. It's not like our island is like tribal, but like, so you're looking at a $600, fucking huge. So you're looking at a $600 trip, and it's like gonna cut my losses.
So for the people listening, me and Cal, there's a band that we both like that we were going to
both just discovered, I think, this year.
Last year.
This year.
About a year ago. Maybe last
right.
fall. Last summer, last fall.
I'm terrible with time.
A band that Cal discovered and sent me a link to a song that had come up like randomly for him in like a YouTube playlist, if I remember correctly.
Wow, you have a really good memory.
And I was like, oh, hey, this song's really awesome. Thanks for sharing. And me being me, like, generally, if I hear one song by an artist, I go and listen to their entire discography.
Yeah, and then, like, basically after he was like, hey, I like this, he became a bigger fan of them.
Totally. Yeah, no, I'm actually, the band's name is Twin Tribes, if anyone's wondering.
And at our point in our lives, I might not have liked them like 10 years ago, but what do you call that? Like dark wave,
Dark wave, yeah.
right? Kind of like, to describe it in like layman terms, goth, um, melodic,
It's got
right?
like a modern
Synth, goth, melodic synth.
It's got
Yeah,
it's got a modern they're a modern band. It's got modern production. It's got modern synth sensibilities. Their style is very much influenced by like early like 1980 The Cure meets like The Human League and Depeche Mode.
yeah.
Um
That's good to put it. Yeah, yeah, like pre-pop experimental The Cure. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, and I've shown it to people, and they're like, all of their songs are kind of samey, and I'm like,
which I very much disagree with as someone who has listened to a
I'm
lot of
like,
their music now.
and I'm like, you remember you said that when I say that about the next metal song that you share with me, motherfucker. Right, right.
Yeah, if anyone who's listening wants a good song recommendation, go listen to Portal to the Void or Cauldron of Thorns by Twin Tribes. Those are my personal favorite songs by them. But anyway,
and so lo and behold, yeah.
so anyway, they were going to be playing in Vancouver coming up in June. And so I told Cal about it, and I immediately like bought like a couple tickets. I'm like, I'm going to go to this, like no matter what. And then Cal's like, yeah, I'm going to go too. And I'm like, sweet. We don't live in the same
We each
city.
bought 2 tickets. Yeah.
We each
yeah.
bought 2 tickets. We don't live in the same city anymore, but like we can both easily get to Vancouver and meet up and be like, awesome.
Yep.
This will be like a good, like awesome thing to do. Then we started looking at hotel prices. And initially I was
silly me. Silly little bitch. Look, buying the tickets before a lesson has been learned.
and initially I was like, you know what, whatever. Like I want to go to this thing and like have fun and yada
I
yada.
bowed
yada.
out first. Yeah.
Yeah, Cal bowed out first. And then I started thinking about it. And I thought, the more and more I thought about it, I'm like, $500 for one night. Like, I mean, maybe if I was like going to like WrestleMania or something.
If this was WrestleMania, and exactly, and including the travel, it was like 500. All expenses paid, like you're looking at like 500-ish.
Like,
yeah.
For instance, like All Out, AEW All Out pay-per-view in September is actually coming to Toronto. And I looked into it, and I can get a round-trip flight direct from the town that I live in to Toronto for around $450 round trip. And I could stay at a hotel in Toronto for 3 nights, get there a day early, and then the night of, and then another night on top of that just to kind of explore Toronto.
Exactly. Yeah.
For about between 800 to 950.
3 nights?
Yeah, in Toronto. Which I'm
Toronto,
like,
yeah.
so for a trip like that, I'm like, I'm thinking about it.
But we're not even talking about flights. We're talking about like the closest fucking city.
Yeah.
Big city to
Vancouver, which Continuum is actually set in, by the way.
Oh, it's actually set in Vancouver.
It's shot in Vancouver. And
see,
set
there you go.
in
It's
Vancouver.
relevant.
But anyway, so long story short, yeah, Cal decided he's not going to go to this concert. And then I thought about it after a while. And I was like, no, you know what? I can't do the $500 for one night. And I think Cal described it in a Discord chat as being my $500 bed.
$500 bed rental.
Yeah, $500 bed rental.
Right, because we'd go there, fuck around either with public transit, or heaven forbid you fucking drive, which is what I'd probably do to save money, and then like spend 45 minutes looking for fucking parking or something stupid, right? Because it's going to be a Friday night downtown.
Yeah.
Right. So you lose either way.
It's actually not downtown, but
that's true. It's not technically. So maybe parking wouldn't be so bad or something like that. Then we get there.
But it is a club.
Then at 8. Then we get there. Doors open 7. Get there at 8. Right. Like like listen to them or like whatever, and then like come back at like what, like midnight,
Yeah.
11, like whatever. I can't spend $500 to rent a bed, man.
Yeah,
Things need to change.
pass out in a bed and then, get up and have to be out
Wake
by
up
like 11
15
a.m.
minutes, but or 10 or 11 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah.
So AKA like wake up like 15 minutes before you have to like leave. Guys, hotels. I understand like the employees got to get paid, but like things got to change. And it's how housing and traveling in general. If we want to help our housing market, this applies for America too, but it's like way worse in Canada for some fucking reason. We need to make more rentals available for people. Well, 80% of rentals in bigger cities like Victoria, especially Vancouver, guess what they go to? Like bed and like B&B or sorry, Airbnb or that kind of thing, right?
Well, they're not allowed to do that anymore.
And they're technically not allowed to do that anymore. There's been some bills that have like been passed, but like hotels, instead of being the cool good guys that are like, oh, okay, like let's try to like get people, their prices went up as a result. So it's like punishing the anyways, there's 40-year-old problems for you listeners for the day.
I even looked at the price of hostels, which I cannot bring myself at 40 years old to stay in a fucking hostel. But even the price of a hostel for one night was like 250.
Like the place where like backpacking teenagers and like homeless people stay.
Like
that's what I think of when I think of the word hostel, not 250. Fuck right off.
$250.
Really? $250?
Yeah. To be fair, that's a private. That's not a shared dorm. That's a private room with shared
40.
bathroom.
I'm near 40, man. I'm not.
But yeah, I still can't bring myself to do it, and probably have to deal with like rats and like lice and bed bugs and shit.
Rather sleep in my car.
Yeah, and like I'm gonna sound like an old man here. Back in my day, like hostels, like I used to go to concerts a lot.
$25
in the mid to late 2000s, and like we were young. Like I was young, like in my early 20s. So like I would stay at hostels at the time.
And you didn't care. You were literally renting a bed.
Yeah, exactly. We were literally renting beds, and it was like between 25 to $30 a night with like a $10 key deposit that you got back.
It's it's a thing. Some millennials are watching the affordability fall through our hands like sand spilling out of a broken hourglass. So are the dollars of our lives. Well, then that was Continuum.
Yeah, I mentioned Continuum is actually set in Vancouver. It's shot in Vancouver and set in Vancouver, which I think is pretty neat. You don't see that a lot.
Yeah.
Canadian TV that's actually set in Canada.
Mm-hmm. And is there a reason she's specifically in this city? Oh, it's because so she has a job being detective, and she's taking steps to thwart the organization who wants to change the future in their favor.
She's a cop from the future. She's a time cop.
Yeah.
Well, she not actually a time cop, but she's a cop.
She
from
became
the
a
future.
time cop.
In future Vancouver, and these terrorists created this like temporal portal that sent them, and by extension her, because she was there, back to the year 2012. Now, as the show goes on, it is revealed, from what I remember, why they went to 2012 in particular. They were trying to get in the way of something happening or something like that.
Right.
Or they knew that like if they did like a certain thing, it would have like it would create like a chain reaction that would completely change the future. So, yeah. Anyway, where were we in the episode?
Well, basically, it cuts to 2012, and
Oh yeah, she's hanging out with her her friend Cop Man.
she's hanging out with Pretty Cop Man and coming back from something, um work or something like that, and her wingman is a
Her guy
15-year-old nerdy.
her guy in the chair.
Sorry, she has a guy in a chair who's he looks familiar. What's he from? Fucking seen this guy.
Let's find
Continuum hacker guy. Alex Sadler.
Eric Knudsen.
Eric.
You say he's 15 years old, but he's like 37 now. So
Oh shit.
this was what, 13 years. He would have been like 25.
So yeah, so she's got a guy in a chair and he's like, come on, like ask him out.
He
And
was
she's
in,
like,
okay, he was in a few things you probably have seen. He is Daniel Matthews in the Saw series.
Saw.
He was in Scott
He's the
Pilgrim
kid in
versus
Saw
the World.
too. Ah. Okay, okay.
He
Yeah, he was in
is
Saw 2. He's the kid in the safe.
he was in Scream 4. He's in the Bon Cop Bad Cop movies.
That's okay.
There's something no one
Speaking of
outside of
Canadian-
Canada has
Yeah, I
heard
was
of.
just going to say, yeah.
So Bon Cop Bad Cop, basically think Canadian Lethal Weapon 20
Right.
years after Lethal Weapon was popular.
Yeah.
I've still never seen Bon Cop Bad Cop 2. It was wild to me that movie got a sequel like over a decade later. Still haven't seen it,
Yeah.
but I liked that first one.
Yeah, let us know if you've seen Bon Cop, Bad Cop, the Canadiana cop movie.
Cop
Sorry.
movie, yeah. Canadian
Um,
Lethal Weapon.
So Hacker Man in her ear or eye or implant somehow is talking to her and is like, come on, ask him out. And I swear she says that he's married, but I guess not.
No, what he says is he's like, ask him out to dinner or something. She's like, well, no, no, she says, I'm married.
No, that's what she says.
She's
Okay.
like, I'm married. And he's like, well, no, I just mean like as a friend or something. Like, like get out and like socialize with a coworker. And she's like,
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it. And she goes to
And she
ask him.
turns, yeah, that's kind of awkward because she's all like, hey, did you want to grab? And he's all like, oh, I'm thinking I'll give you a ride back. And he says to someone else that they were talking to or whatever. And see, I thought that they were coming from the dinner that the previous scene was just in. That's why I was a little confused. But no, he offers to give this like journalist lady like a ride. And he's all like, oh, you can find your way back, right? Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, ooh, feels oof.
It happens again in the episode too. I can't remember exactly how, but she goes to like try and like be social and like invite someone out to do something, and she's like cut down
for this chick.
She's like cut down immediately again because of like some work thing, and she's like, oh.
And he goes and he's like, oh, a gentleman needs to walk a lady to the door. And then she's complaining about some stuff and journalist stuff or whatever, and goes on inside, and he comes in with her, and he's all like, oh, what's the big deal with whatever? And he's very suave and grabs a wine bottle off of the counter. This is what I
What's the
realized
deal
about
with all
rich
these
white
time
people.
travelers anyway?
What's the deal with these time travelers? Are they from the past or the future? And are they going at the speed of normal time? So one thing I've noticed about like wealthy white people is that they've just got wine at the ready at all times.
Do you mean on TV or IRL?
On TV.
Because that's the thing IRL too.
I wouldn't know because I don't have. Well, before the show in our podcast, mini podcast, that our podcasters get to listen to. I have mentioned being over at like normal people's
Our
homes.
Patreon subscribers get to listen to the Patreon exclusive show, the Super Lazor Comb Patreon Super Show.
And we did talk about how normies will have like a wine rack.
Yeah.
And just wine hanging out in like the kitchen. I used to be friends with people that would like, whenever we'd hang out, they'd always like buy a bottle of wine. And I'm like, suppose that's okay. But whereas my wine like budget is like $0 per year. It's always weird to run into people who like habitually like wine drink and swirl it as they watch anime. Yes, quite. Because that's what I would do with those friends. So we'd like drink wine and like watch anime, and I'm like, we could just watch anime. We don't need to have wine. But
I've had partners in the past whose families were upper middle class and upper middle class
of wine.
And there would always be wine on hand. There would usually be scotch. There would be brandy. Basically anything like you could possibly want to drink would just be on hand.
Rich people things.
Yeah, totally. So yeah. It's not just a TV thing. It's definitely an IRL thing as well.
And well, wouldn't you know it, these two end up fucking. And at first he tries to handsome cop man tries to turn the lady down, but he doesn't try too hard. He's the one who like pushed his way in here anyway, and it's implied that they end up doing it.
And then wouldn't you know it, she ends up dead.
And then we fast forward to them getting a call and going in, and they're like, oh, what, like we saw her like last night or whatever. Now he does something perplexing, and I'm surprised there's not long-term repercussions, just episode long repercussions. He doesn't fucking tell anybody that he was the last person to see her alive, and then he banged her. So he's going about the
and not only this, he becomes he's made lead detective on the case.
And instead of being like, hey, I need to step away from this because I had like relations with her and I like saw her last night and blah blah blah, he just takes lead on it and doesn't say anything.
Kira, Rachel Nichols' character, Timecop, if you will. Timecop ends up lying to the chief, being like, oh, I need to help out with this case. And the chief's like, no, you're on gang duty. I want you back at your desk.
And she's like, what if this has to do with gang duty? And he's like, well, the second that you find out it isn't, you have to go back. And she's like, I promise.
I hadn't considered that this could potentially be gang related. Follow up on that.
But you have to pinky swear to come and go back to the gang stuff if it's not related. And she's like, okay, I promise.
And afterward, Cop Man is like, you know what, bro, thanks. I really appreciate you lying to the chief for me to help me out. And she's like, hey, what are friends for? Besides, I only kind of stretched the truth a little.
That's right. This episode's about stretching the truth. How far can you stretch the truth? Like a Stretch Armstrong.
How far can you stretch the truth through the space-time continuum?
How far can you stretch the truth through the fabric of space-time continuum?
Through the
Timecop,
through the Timecop continuum.
Time Crisis 3. Now with co-op dual pedal action. So first half of the episode, a bunch of boring cop shit. There's interviews and stuff.
It's very much police procedural. Cop Man goes to meet with a political boy.
Yeah, there's
his old buddy,
Senator Man or something like that. Yeah. And is like, hey, didn't she have a bunch of dirt on you? And he's all like, yeah, but I'm innocent. She?
Yeah, pretty much.
She's a liar. She?
We've been friends for 20 years, buddy. You gotta level with me.
You gotta give me something. And he's like, well, I'll give you this much, and like doesn't level with him. That we find out later.
She was doing she was doing an article about me. That's that's all I'll say. So we did keep in contact.
And the B, not really B plot because it's not like a plot, but off doing his own thing, Hacker Man, guy in the chair, if you will. He has Kira's cyber suit.
Yep.
Which I guess was damaged when she went back in time or something. In a suspended like liquid with like nodes and stuff connected to it, presumably repairing it or doing something to fix it because it's malfunctioning. And we're not sure when, but there's some progress there as the things he's doing kind of like make it like light up, and he's like, oh shit, this is new. And that's relevant because we get to see it like act as a supercomputer later in the episode.
Yeah, it kind of starts interfacing with Hacker Man's computers and like taking over them, and he describes it as he's like, oh, it's scanning like everything in like a 50 kilometer radius. It's like it's getting its bearings. So
so it's kind of like has its own extremely advanced like AI and like nano repairing tech built in. So what Lady Kira ends up doing is she goes and questions them, the senator and senator wife, and senator, I thought it was their maid at first, but I guess it's the senator's politic man's like
chief of
PR
staff
agent or chief of staff or something. Yeah, chief of staff or something like that, right? Because we find out that she's like in charge of a lot of allocating donations and funds to
campaign manager.
There we go.
That's the title. Campaign manager.
There we go. And Kira realizes that there's some the wife isn't in letting, like she's lying or she's uneasy about something. There's something going on between Senator Man and his wife, but she can't quite place it.
Yeah, because she asks, she's like, reporter lady, when was the last time you saw her? And he's like, I couldn't even say.
Years, could be months.
Couldn't put it
and
into words.
Looks at his campaign manager, and she's like, 1 or 2 months.
Yeah, and he's like,
Kira's like, oh really?
Yeah,
because, didn't she come by? And didn't she say something to you last night?
And campaign manager is just like this.
Yeah,
which doesn't work for audio, but basically I'm doing the whole like, what do you call this gesture?
Yeah, like cut or like stop, like when you like pretend to like you bring your fingers to like sever your neck or like kind of like stop talking or shut up.
Cut it out.
Cut it out. Sever the head.
Cut it out. That was from Full House.
That's a Full House, yeah. Specifically, oh my god, I always forget that guy's name.
Uncle Joey. Uncle Joey.
I know the actor uses that kind of humor in his stand-up too. Never remember the actor's name though. Anyways, Uncle Joey. It's like, oh, if you're gonna want to ask any more questions, you're gonna need to contact his attorney. And she's like, okay, fine, I'll see myself out. So somehow she goes back to the crime scene alone, and she sprays some shit around. And Hacker Man's like, what the fuck is that? And this is when we find out she has a HUD.
Yeah.
Like, she either cyborg eyes or like contact lenses or something, but she sees like a HUD with a bunch of like information or whatever.
If I remember correctly, she has like neural implants.
Oh, okay. And so what she's doing when she like shoots this like powder that like disperses evenly in a room, it shows her different um DNA kind of markings, but specifically it highlights for the HUD fingerprints.
Mm.
And then what the neural implant does is it color codes different people's fingerprints. And then she could kind of like talk to the AI, her implant, and kind of be like, okay, make everything older than a week disappear. Okay, take away the victim's fingerprints. And then they stop. It's halfway through, but finally it's like, okay, this is actually pretty fucking cool.
Well, and this, like a lot of the times in like shows like set in the future or with like future tech, it seems like kind of bullshit. I could see technology like this existing in like the next like
Most of the time it's just like, okay, give me it's like a Sherlock mind palace,
yeah.
right? Where it's like, okay, what angle did the killer like come from? And it does like a replay, right? Like if you played games like that, right? Where it'll like show a replay and you'll be like, is that right?
Cyberpunk
Make him
does
approach. Oh, yeah, good point. Cyberpunk
Yeah.
does that. Instead of just it's future, don't worry about it. This like it still requires human kind of like brain. What you're doing is just using the technology to remove or make things like more clear. And so she's like, take away the victim's prints. Okay. Who are we left with? Oh, we're left with this guy. Oh, interesting. And then she's like, oh, and she looks on there and there's a third set of prints on one particular glass for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes to the bedroom and that's when she finds out her partner, Detective Handsome Man, must have fucked. And the kid, her guy on the phone is like, ooh, I wonder what these fingerprints are for, because his fingerprints are like on the wall, on like the bed. Giant like dildo is like there, and his fingerprints are on the end.
We skipped over it, but they earlier in the episode they go to the crime scene. This is before Cop Man has revealed to Timecop or anyone else that he was the last one to see the victim alive.
He hasn't even told Kira.
Yeah. One of the unis at the scene was like, maybe it was maybe it was a sex thing, because
maybe it was a sex thing, because there's some crazy shit in the bedroom back there.
So the cause of death appears to be strangulation. Maybe it was like a hardcore sex thing, like gone wrong, because there's a lot of like weird sex toys in the bedroom.
There's a lot of weird kinky stuff in the bedroom or something like that.
Yeah.
When Kira goes into the bedroom later, I don't see anything weird. Like,
yeah.
I was expecting like what are those, like one of those big X's, like the right, like splayed against the wall, and then like a full gimp suit and like chains hanging from the ceiling,
or like a swing above the bed,
or in the very least a sex swing.
Yeah.
In the very least. No, nothing. It's just like a rich person's normal like bedroom.
I think,
and I'm like, oh,
I think the uni was just joking.
I liked that part. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, don't tell on yourself. You're at work.
Speaking of telling on themselves, Cop Man tells. I actually like this scene. Cop Man tells the chief, and it's a very like cliched like.
It's because they have a hacker chick who does the enhance stuff, and there's always someone in the show where they're like, "Hey, I need you to look into this.
Yeah,
I need you to look into it and get it to me by like 2 hours ago." And then she's all like, "Oh, here's some footage." And Kira's like, "Can you get me like HD 4K enhanced like footage of that?" And she's like, "Oh, I talked to the bus, blah, 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 and we'll get it by tonight by 10 p.m. So you'll have it tomorrow morning."
Can you expand on the resolution?
Enhance. Do, do, do. And there's actually a scene where she somehow turns like 180p, 420p in for I can't remember all the old resolutions. What was it? 180?
Well, there was standard def on a on like an old CRT television is 360 360i.
360. And there's actually like a like line by line. Maybe it's AI color enhancement.
Well, Kira's neural links, she's able to enhance and like expand and clean up the image like right away before.
Right, because she finds out.
Yeah,
but before that,
her advanced tech is able to clean up the image faster than the cop science girl.
But she finds that out after she had asked, like science girl. So she's like, shit, she's gonna know in like a day. And sure enough,
by the way, science girl, cute. She was in Stargate Universe, actually.
Oh, I thought she looked.
She had a kind of a minor like background role in Stargate Universe, but
yeah. So she goes to Detective Copman and she's like, if you weren't as good looking, I'd go straight to the chief with this.
And he's like, any other man, I would kill you where you stand.
I would kill you where you stand. And he's like, hey, look, it wasn't me. Oh, blah, blah, blah. But I need to make this right. So to his credit, like you were saying, he goes to the chief and is like, put some pictures on his desk. And he's like, I thought he was going to give a line like, what, you're thinking of taking up acting and you're giving me your profile shots?
No, the reason why I like this scene is the chief, the captain or whatever he is, like, he's very mad in this scene. It's really good acting. Like I bought it. He's
I was
just
actually shocked there was such good acting.
He was just like, what the?
It took me by surprise.
He yells at him. He's like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, because he's like, hey, like, chief, blah, blah, blah. And he delivers his line, says, I'm the last one to see her. I had sexual relationships with her. And I know of blah, blah, blah. And I'm sorry. And he's like, you don't get to fucking say sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, you're immediately suspended indefinitely. I need your badge and gun right now. And I'm like, holy shit, this guy. Okay, this guy's a real one.
This guy's an actual like actor. He looks really familiar too. I'm trying to see who he is.
Police chief from Continuum.
Oh, Lexa Dewig is in this show. Cool. Tony Amendola is in the show. We see him at the very end. Oh, the science girl name is Jennifer Spence. Okay, he's not in the regular cast. He must be recurring.
But while Siege is looking that up, he's canned. And Kira confronts him. And he's all like, Kira confronts him a little bit before he admits anything. Because she gives him the heads up that Science Girl is going to find out.
Yeah.
And she's like, why didn't you tell me? And he's all like, oh, because I... Right? And it's the whole episode is about like, how far do you stretch the truth before you're just like a lying sack of shit? And he's like, friendship. And, oh, I've known this guy for 20 years. Like, trust me. And she's like, would you trust him with your life though? And he's like, yes, without question. And she's like, good enough for me.
Why can't I find this guy, who this guy is?
Police chief man.
Well, anyway, he looks really familiar. He's a great actor.
Yeah. He's just got this one scene, but he sold it. And we get some the Dark Knight tech going. So we find out that Kira's future what do they call the bodysuits in Cyberpunk? Not wetsuits, but ice suits or no. Fuck. Netrunner suits.
Yeah, Netrunner is a thing.
Oh, what are they called? Just Netrunner bodysuits, I guess. But yeah, it's kind of like that. Very nice, very nice.
It's like skill suits or something.
Skin suit,
maybe.
Sounds familiar.
That sounds that sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with that. But yeah, the Netrunner suit, anti-surge net running suit, bodysuit, elastomer net running suit.
Her
Who knows?
time cop suit.
Timecop suit. Um, it's kind of like lighting up.
Time suit, if you will.
And there's some things going on in the background. So she has like an accomplice who's like deep state. And she's like, hey, I need my guy in the chair to have some access codes for some like cell phone satellites. And he's like, what do I get? And she's like, how about info on anybody going like 50 feet within your yacht? I don't know if that's code for something or what. But he helps. It's her contact. She helps him. He helps her. And she's able to get the kid, the guy in the chair, this information. And the reason is because journalism girl, she has cell phone like arrays right above her buildings, amplifiers or like whatever. So the idea is, and I get big Watch Dogs vibes from this. Like at least there's some science behind this, right? Or Dark Knight vibes from this.
I was going to say
they take the microwaves.
This kind of reminded me of like puzzle sequences in like the Arkham games, the Batman Arkham games, where you're like recreating a crime scene.
Yeah, and so what happens is she's like, "Hey, I need you to do this. Would it be possible to scour through like the data and where the microwaves are interrupted, it would show where people may or may not be?" And he's like, yeah, something like that is possible, but it's a monumental amount of data. And to like post it, like to siphon through the data and put it in a 3D world that I can relay to your like cyberlink, we can't do anything like this now. But then the suit turns on.
And she's like, but what if we could?
But what if we could? What if? And then the suit ends up processing all of this data, and the kid is in, and her contact gets her the information, and then eventually she revisits the the crime scene once again, and she's like, all right, show me what's going on. And then she kind of gets like a Watch Dogs like recreation, and where there are ghosts in the data, that's where like people are moving because they're like walking through and creating negative space in the like the cell phone signals, right? And she's able to see the her partner like getting it on with the journalist. And then she's like, okay, fast forward. He said that he left at like 1:30 a.m. And he's like, hey, things are just getting good. Guy in a chair.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see all the freaky shit they got up to.
But then, wouldn't you know it, you start seeing another figure come in through the balcony.
And she's all like, okay, the face is all like rounded. So he's wearing a face mask. And Hackerman, who can see through her HUD on his end, because he's got like 6 monitors set up, is like, no, that's not a man. Looks like that's a woman.
I'd know a woman's booty anytime.
I know a woman's booty anytime. And I just got like Metal Gear like vibes. Like, I need to find the soldier that's like whatever. And you see that like one shot of like, what's her name? Meryl, like running. And it's like, and then you go on the mission where you're like looking at soldiers to see like the woman's fat ass.
Yeah, because she like does this really exaggerated sachet when she walks.
And you're like, all right, time to find woman ass. So this guy clearly played Metal Gear Solid, is what I'm saying. Clearly. And
he's the right age.
While this is happening, and she's like figuring out all this simultaneously, it shows angry, now not really fired, but kind of fired, man cop, like punching like a punching bag, because of course he does. And then he's showering, and when you know it, the same masked woman sneaks into his place. And she found out this assassin repelled from the ceiling, from the rooftop. So she's not just like a normal lady, like coming in to like she's like a pro. And wouldn't you know it, this guy is now it cuts to real action. And when you know it, this is why you always close your bathroom door. Always. Because you'll be showering and you're like closing your eyes and doing this. You want to hear the door open. Serial killers or assassins can't get you if you hear the door open. But people always leave the door open in these shows and movies.
So he's in the shower, and assassin
the most
lady,
realistic fight I've ever seen in a TV show breaks out.
Assassin lady like quickly tasers him, and like while he's in the shower, which I feel like the water would. I feel like she would get shocked too.
Depends. She's wearing a suit and gloves. It could be that they're not conductive. She could be wearing like rubber.
Yeah, fair enough.
Or if anything, it would shock him more or disperse the electrical charge through the water and shock him less. I'm not sure. Anybody know the physics of tasing someone in the shower?
Let us know in the comments.
And he falls. Quickly, electricity scientists, let us know.
We know you're listening.
We know you're listening. She puts like an assassin bag over his head, right? And like tightens it, right? And it's to like not only strangle him, but like stop him from being able to breathe. And then again, realistic, he picks her up because the dude's like 6'2", like 280 pounds of muscle. Right, and goes and slams her against like the mirror or the wall, right? And they fall on the ground, and like part of the wall is like broken. And he does something that I always wondered why people don't do in TV shows and movies. He like reaches in and like tears at the bag and like rips a hole in the bag and like gasps for air. And
so
I'm
he
like,
can breathe, yeah.
Where are these like unpenetrable bags that assassins are using to like suffocate people? Also, why didn't she use a garrote?
Because she's not Agent 47.
Silly me. Only Agent 47 and mobsters from the 30s can use garrotes properly. Everyone else, you have a plastic bag.
You know what this killer has that Agent 47 doesn't, though, that we see in this scene? She puts the ass in assassin.
Maybe even two ass in ass in. It's not as funny as I was hoping. So they fight.
No, you win some, you lose some.
He grabs broken glass from the floor as she tases him again. This guy's very tase resistant. In the movies, you just do this and people are knocked unconscious. What's going on here? And he slashes at her. And instead of staying and like fighting and finishing the job, she just like leaves. She's like, I lost the element of surprise. I don't got this. Also, what if she just brought a knife? But we find out later, when you know it, knocking on the door right as she's running, the assassin, Kira's at the door and is like, I've been trying to get a hold of you for like minutes. What's going on? And reveals that he was just attempted to be killed. But what she had set up first, awfully ambitious. She replaced the punching bag, like where you hang like the punching bag, with a noose. So the idea was to knock him unconscious and then hang him so it makes it look like he killed himself.
Yeah, she is like, hey, like, are you doing okay? He's like, yeah, I am. But someone was trying to make it look like I wasn't.
Yeah.
And he looks over, and we see the noose that the assassin had set up. So yeah, she was going to kill him and make it look like he committed suicide over guilt.
And then all of the to make it look like it was him, and then all the loose ends would be tied up. Right?
Yeah. And so they put together, they think that it's a politician boy's wife.
A woman, athletic,
Yeah.
because she had found out, I can't remember.
Hacker
They had
Man
an affair.
Hacker Man did a background check on her and explained that she was like a real like jock, like in her younger days. Like she was like a almost Olympic level gymnast and
Right.
yada yada.
Senator Man's wife.
Yeah. And
How did they tie the journalist and find out she was having an affair with Politic Man?
they when they started investigating politician's wife, they discovered that there were several calls from her phone to reporter lady. And so this is
Right.
enough. This is enough. And between that and like their suspicion that she was the assassin, this was enough.
Right. They kind of pieced it together.
They pieced it together, and also they the science girl did some like took some like satellite views, and it
Is
turns
it called
out
NetSuit? NetSuit?
could be
No.
there's a car that was parked
Oh,
outside.
right. Because hacker guy in a chair now has access to satellite stuff.
So there was a car that was parked outside of reporter lady's place when she was killed, and then
A very unique looking car. If you're going to do assassin work,
yeah, it's this weird. It's not an Austin Mini, but it's like a weird kind of a weird looking car.
here's the
like
weird
that.
thing. It's not her or the other chick. It's like a third chick.
Yeah.
But I'm confused about why this third chick would be in her car.
So yeah, so this car that was at the scene of the crime,
When you
ended
know
up-
what, it's at Senator Man's house.
it's at Senator Mann's house. So they go and question them about it, and he's like, "Well, just lift up your sleeve, because you know I cut the arm of the assailant." And she's like, "Fine." Shows. She's like, "Well, why have you why were you calling her so much?" And she's like, "Because they had an affair, and she had told him it was over, and she was begging me to get him off of her back." And he's like, "What? That lying bitch? She wanted me. She wouldn't leave me alone."
And that's when the friendship is kind of all over the place, because Cop Man is like,
She was my girl, dog.
no,
you had an affair
Cop
with
Man
her?
it's not that was his girl. It was all like, well, one of you is like, what's like, dude, what are you fucking doing?
Yeah.
Like, you got to level with me. And he like takes him aside and is like, hey, what the fuck is like going on? And he's like, hey, yeah, there's this thing. I told her I didn't love her like anymore, like tried to end it, and she had this info on me.
Yeah.
And he's like, so did you accept like dirty, like $10 million of like dirty funds? And he's like, I would tell you if I did. And no, I didn't know.
Yeah, no, I didn't. But then
Turns out he's actually telling the truth on that.
he's actually telling the truth. So Kira,
I was very shocked.
his campaign manager, Kira, is like, wait a minute. Wait a cycle. That's your weird ass car out there, isn't it? And she's like, okay, fine. He was such a do-gooder and so self-righteous that he wouldn't take like big donations from wealthy investors. So like, I did it for him behind his back using a bunch of like hedge funds and like illegal wire transfers. And she's like, you had everything you needed to be like a great politician. You weren't sleazy enough. You weren't crooked
You weren't
enough.
playing the game, damn it.
You weren't corrupt enough.
And,
so
and she's like,
I had to do it behind your back.
well-spoken and good-looking and smart enough that you can, there's no, like, you can go to the top.
Yeah.
but you won't because you won't play the game. And I'm like, sounds like somebody wants to suck his dick or
Right.
is. So they're like, hey, okay, we need to bring you in. Like, what's this like group? Like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, if I tell you, like, they'll have me killed.
Mm-hmm.
Dun,
Yeah,
dun.
so at this point, or like prior to this, I thought I was ahead of the episode. Like, I didn't think it was the wife who did it. I thought it was the campaign
I thought I
manager.
was ahead of it too.
But it turns
Because
out
I'm like, it's clearly not the wife, but it turns out it's clearly not the wife, and it's clearly not the campaign manager. It's someone we've never seen this whole episode that you can only be. It's a part of the future terrorist gang.
yeah.
And it shows a blonde chick driving a van, and she's got a bandage. She's got short blonde hair. She's got like a bandage on her arm or whatever, and that is also the same group that donated like the money because they want to control this guy and get him in power or whatever. Why was she driving the campaign manager's car?
Yeah, that one's a little unclear to me.
When it shows that they have their own black like sussy van that they would have.
So who was it that got in the car with them? It was the wife, right?
They take away
Was it the wife or the campaign manager?
campaign manager, and they're like, both of you need to come and give like a statement. And he's like, oh, I can't. I'm late for like this like thing. It's like happening, and it's like, yeah, well, you're gonna have to move that back. Like, this is serious business.
We find out that he won the election, and so he has to like go and basically like give a speech and like confirm that he
also
has
like
won.
unfriends him.
Yeah,
because he's like, oh, like you didn't tell me like a bunch of this and this and this, and he's like, hey, like we can trust each other and like we can be friends. It doesn't mean we have to tell each other everything. And he's like, I say good day. And like unfriends him. And then, they bring her in, and it's like, oh geez, this whole thing got way more complicated as they have their big like conspiracy wall or like whatever. And they have this like talk where he's all like, okay, how about this, Kira? From now on, 100% truth. We tell each other like everything, so like this complicated bullshit doesn't happen again. And she's like, no, I'm good. And he's like, what? Didn't we just like learn that like the truth will set you free, and like doing all of like this is like bad? And she's like, we just need to trust each other and like know each other without we don't need to know every single thing about each other, because she's not going to be like, hey, I'm actually like from the future and I'm like married and I use future tech, but like it doesn't work like that. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, she says something along the lines of like, there's a difference between like, I don't have to tell you everything to know what's best for you or something.
Yeah, we don't need to tell each other everything to know what's best or something like that. And it's like, and then they hand wave him being like suspended thing, and it's like, oh, it's good to know that the blah 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 charges were completely dropped. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, still what he did, but it's very like police things to just like bury like everything like that anyway. But I'm like, that's not the point though. Okay.
Realistically, whatever. He probably he could have lost his badge for that, even though like he wasn't the murderer. Like he still withheld.
He withheld essentially tampering with interfering with a crime.
He literally would have been the prime suspect right out of the gate, and he knew that, and that's why he kept it to himself. And not only that, he decided to become like lead detective on the case. He probably would lose his job for that, realistically.
In a realistic world, in a just world, fair and just world, yes. Knowing how the system works, Like the number of time people are like cops are suspended with pay. And I'm like, so this police officer like shoots a kid?
Gets a free vacation, basically.
And then now he gets a paid vacation. Paid vacation?
Yeah.
Or they're suspended without pay. And I'm like, okay, he has an unpaid vacation.
Anyway, so who is it that gets dragged into the limo with the shady future terrorist people? Was it the wife? Was it campaign lady? Was it politician man?
So we both don't remember, huh?
So one of them gets pulled into the back of this car that's being driven by the actual assassin, because, as you mentioned, it's a blonde chick. We see that she's got a cut on her arm. And in the back is actor Tony Amendola, who's been in so many things. Big fan of his. And he's basically like... he says some conspiracy shit like we need to like readjust our plans or something like that.
Yeah, he says some gobbledygook conspiracy stuff. We also get a flashback to when she was in 2077 and she's confronting her husband.
Right. Oh, something we completely skipped over was that, and this actually
is an hour-long show block, and there's a lot of moving parts, folks.
This actually ties into the main plot. We, in a like flashback / forward to the future, her best friend comes into the bathroom.
Oh my god!
And she's like,
hey,
so I got to tell you that your husband made a pass at me, and she's like,
haha, that's something that he would do.
Yeah, she's like, wait, you're not mad? She's like, no, of course I'm not mad. It was only a pass. Plus, you were fine, when me and your husband fucked right before your wedding. And she's like, "Bwah?" She's like, wait, you didn't know that?
So one, she's all like, oh, that goofy husband of mine. Yeah, that seems like something she would do. She doesn't seem to care.
Yeah.
So one, she doesn't know her friend's situation at all. Like they can just fuck other people and they don't care, I guess. Whereas she was like, hey, I have something important to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like a couple that is best friends with another couple, but one are like devoutly monogamous, or at least this lady is, and doesn't know that the others are like open or something like that. Because
so monogamous to the point that she won't bone someone even though she is like 65 years in the past.
Oh, that's a good point, because her husband's not born.
He isn't even born yet. So, I mean, technically she could get away with it. But she's like, earlier in the episode, she's like, no, I'm a married woman. Yeah. But so how this ties into the main plot is her like reflecting back on this is what makes her start to suspect the wife may have killed the reporter out of jealousy.
Right. Because it shows her like confronting her husband, and she's like, hey, you cheated on me with this friend lady while we were together. And I thought it was like before they had even gotten together. No, it's just before they got married.
Yeah, right before they got married. And he is like, we were on a break.
And the way her friend says, it's like, oh, it was like just like him sowing his like wild oats, like it didn't mean anything. Girl, he loves you. And she's like really upset. And that's a lot to kudos for her acting. That's a lot to just take in right there. And not only is her best friend not angry that her husband just molested her, her best friend is trying to tell her that her husband cheating on her right before the wedding isn't a big deal. So she's finding out this other couple are huge sleazeballs, are huge pieces of shit. And maybe her husband's a piece of shit.
Maybe.
Because she's like, oh, he doesn't mean anything. Oh, girl, he loves you. And it's different now that you're like married and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow, you need better friends. Holy shit. And a better husband.
Right.
And there's some like confrontation. And I get big like gaslighting and like abusive husband vibes from her husband in the scene where they're in their like penthouse suite that's like just windows overlooking like the city, because he like starts like using like oh I love you, and oh I don't know what was like happening, and oh I just didn't want it to interfere with like the wedding. I didn't want to lose you. And I'm like, you manipulative piece of shit. This is who she's not like willing to like sleep with hot McCop over.
Yeah. Hopefully that changes as the series goes
Maybe
on.
it'll reveal that hopefully that changes and she does sleep with hot McCop.
Or someone at the very least.
Or someone at the very least, yeah. But right, it was through remembering all of that that kind of like made her be like, wait a second, I am sussy.
Well, and that was the episode.
That's the episode.
Cal, you just caught
very dense. A lot of fucking happens.
You just caught a random episode of Showcase's Continuum. Would you tune in again?
Here's where I'm at with this.
Are you gonna turn on channel 24 at 11:30 at night again?
So I really like the future tech stuff and not much else. Like the assassin being a third party, but like leaving in like the car. And so it's like, come on, if you guys are gonna do like police procedurals, you gotta not do something dumb like that. But like even that aside,
in all fairness, that is something that could be elaborated on in a future episode.
We could find out that the assassin actually like stole that car.
Yeah.
Or to make it look like the campaign manager or something, right? But I don't think so. I don't think so. That if the same plot happened with less yada yada in a half-hour block, maybe yes.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's like but the thing is, I find like the future tech really interesting. So I'm actually kind of torn. I think maybe not. I would not tune in next week. There's a lot that could be good, but just on this episode, I probably wouldn't.
Okay, fair enough.
I would want to play this as the video game. I'd want to play like a Watch Dogs meets like Arkham, like or like detective like game that's like I guess I could play like Detroit Become Human, which is basically kind of like that.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think I'd tune in next week. It's very close though, but I don't think so. Yeah. A little bit too drawn out for me.
A split decision this week, because I would tune in again. I like this show. I mean, I knew I already liked it to begin with, but going back to it, it actually makes me kind of want to rewatch it because I haven't revisited the show.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we do the podcast in general. Maybe if I had watched it from the beginning and it built up some momentum and caring about what's happening, but it's a little bit too this person slept with this person and he said she said, and what's the truth, what is a lie, what's the difference between a white lie and the truth, and the
what is a man
what is a man but a miserable pile of secrets.
Here's another thing too is and I think me and you differ. Like we tend to be on the same page with a lot of shows, but I think this is one thing where me and you differ. Is I actually like cop shows. Like in general, I always have.
I'm so hit or miss with cop shows. Like you can't convince me to watch CSI, but
yeah,
I loved Criminal Minds, and they're not that. Like I don't know what it is. Like I'm hit or miss with cop shows.
I like a good police procedural. Like I can sit. I used to, when I was a kid, I was too young to be watching the show, but when I was like, I don't know, like 12 or so, I was really into Homicide, Life on the Street. And I would watch Law and Order sometimes, and I would watch Cold Squad, just Canadian police procedural.
Yeah, I would watch Law and Order and Cold Squad with my grandma sometimes, but like kind of just because nothing else was on. And because she was watching it, I had nothing else to watch. So some episodes I remember, and then others I'm just like, oh, like whatever. But it's hit or miss for me. Like I can't tell you why I liked Criminal Minds. But it might just be like I had caught it early enough to get hooked.
Yeah. It's possible.
Possible. Anything is possible when you're from Cyberpunk 2077.
Much like this podcast being from
the year 2025.
Laserpunk 122.
Laserpunk 122.
Yeah.
So, in fantasy games and stuff, how like it'll be like the year's 122 of the third age. What happens in our timeline for it to reset and this be year 122?
What happens? The imperial the American imperialist empire finally constructs a weapon to surpass Metal Gear itself. And unleashes a nuclear firestorm across the world, and the Commonwealth Alliance launches their own Metal Gear, which battles out with the American imperialist Metal Gear. And
they destroy each other.
They destroy each other, and from the ashes of these fallen empires,
and so it's 122 years later,
comes a new age of laser.
The laser age.
The laser age.
The Lazor Comb age. I like it. Completely original IP. Do not steal.
I mean, Kojima is ripping off Metal Gear himself now. See that Death Stranding 2 trailer?
Come on. It's an Ouroboros of what... Yeah, I did. Interesting take, huh? It's all in the same universe, I guess.
Got great value Solid Snake and
it does look like great value Solid Snake. President's choice.
A ship that looks an awful lot like Metal Gear Rex's head being put on top of a giant BT, forming
immediately
gear.
Thought of Rex and BT.
Yeah. It kind of looks like a cross between a BT and Sahelanthropus from MGS5.
I'm excited to see what that is, because now that he's got like the world building, right, and the walking simulator, like what can he do? Did you hear that Hideo Kojima was angry that it was so well received? Because he thinks that art should be niche and loved by some and hated by others.
I did.
And the fact that it was so mainstream and liked by everyone means that what a guy. What a character.
I'm also interested to see how that game actually plays out, because watching the trailer, it's like, oh yeah, great value Solid Snake, and BT gear, but like nothing is ever as it seems in like trailers for Kojima games. So there's more to it than that. There's got to be. He's not just ripping off his own the franchise that he created.
You telling me that the guy named Vamp is not actually a vampire?
Nanomachines, son.
Shit. You telling me that, what was it? What, Wish? She was hot. Who was the chick that was like bulletproof, but it was because nanomachines made an electric field around her?
No, it wasn't Wish. It was
Miracle. Like, she had a name like that.
Oh my god, I can't believe I can't remember.
Right?
Fortune.
That was my Fortune.
Yeah. Yeah, it was because nanomachines would make bullets curve around her.
Because they would like emanate frequencies, made an electromagnetic field around her. So it turns out not actually. And Vamp would drink blood. Yes, we're talking about Metal Gear Solid 2. Vamp would drink blood because the iron in people's blood could is what the nanomachines in his body needed to regenerate his tissue.
Yeah. Nanomachines.
That's a good example. That's a good example of things not being what they seem.
Yeah. Well, that was episode 122 of the Lazor Comb podcast. If you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/LazorComb, LAZORCOMB. Starting at the $5 tier, you get access to our bonus weekly Patreon exclusive podcast, the Super Lazor Comb Patreon Super Show. $10 tier, you get to pick a show for us to review a random episode of on this very podcast. Commentary tracks and more. And if you want to get in on that, go to patreon.com/LazorComb. Join the Discord, link in the description as always. Follow us on social media. If you're watching or listening to this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, please. We will be back next week with episode 123 of the Lazor Comb podcast, where we're going to be talking about Gotham. Gotham, huh? Gotham. I don't know why I'm saying it that way. I'm tired and very hungry, so I'm getting a little loopy here. So I'm going to hit screen share the screen, and share. Sunny and share. Gotham had 100 episodes, the exact amount it needed to be sold into syndication. So
100 is the magic number.
I don't even need to change the 100 on the old random number generator.
That's right.
So one random number between 1 and 100, and here we go. And where it stops.
Oh boy.
Batman knows. 1.
That has happened
twice before.
Once it's happened with Preacher?
It happened with Preacher, and it happened with... there was another show.
We've done 122 episodes of this, folks.
There was another show where we landed on episode 1.
Oh, it was one where the comics...
It was evil.
Was it Evil?
It was evil, yeah. Because we both liked the show. We're like,
that's how I kept watching it.
Yeah, this is a great place to jump on. So yeah, Preacher and Evil, and now Gotham. So we'll be back next week with that. And until then, I have been Christopher Siege, one of your hosts.
And I'm NeoCal, your other host.
Thanks for listening. We will time cop you next time.